For example, I think that during Soviet Union period, people were more united than now in my country. So I wish that there could be more unity this time in my country as well.
What do people think of Gorbachev?
It's a very controversial topic, and he's a very controversial person, like especially for older generation who were born and raised in Soviet Union. He's kind of a traitor who somehow ended this period of our history, and for our grandparents, like, he is not that good. For some younger people who are more or less in democratic values, maybe he's not a hero, but someone who did everything right. Maybe he was someone who had no other options. But again, he's a very, very controversial person, and maybe it's too early to give some judgments right now. Maybe a couple decades later.
How the collapse of the USSR is described in your history textbook?
As like Soviet Union was formed in 1920 something.
1922.
Yeah. So it was.
You have to say that there were 14 republics.
Yes, and every republic had like different, maybe opinion.
Приведи пример.
Soviet Union included Russia, Belarus, Ukraine.
But not only Slavic countries, but
Georgia,
also Georgia, Uzbekistan,
Armenia.
Tajikistan, like Muslim
so many countries. So national contradictions was one of them, like one of the reasons of the collapse. Also, it was like failure of economic reforms made by Gorbachev as well during perestroika, during this time. And as it was like communistic state, communistic ideology, this was, we can say, like a failure of communistic ideology in the beginning of 90s already. And it led to the failure and to collapse of Communist Party of Soviet Union in the end.
But again, you have to specify like why it was a failure of communistic ideology. The basic idea, the main idea that people are equal, that we should have, all of us should have equal rights, equal opportunities. But in reality, in late 80s, let's say governing elites, they were enjoying, let's say, luxurious way of living. Expensive cars, black caviar, expensive alcohol, things like that. Like some fancy clothes, maybe some of them had even opportunity to travel abroad. Not only in the socialists camp, not like Poland, Baltic countries, and even like United States, like Western Europe. And for simple people who were kind of equal to them, who should be equal to them, it was obvious that, wait a moment, what is happening? Like, we should be equal, but why we are so different? So, of course, that caused social tension. So that led to natural demolition of that system. So,
and probably like Gorbachev government, they made a lot of mistakes during perestroika, the structuralization period. But as I read, a lot of experts say that in Russian textbooks, this Soviet Union collapse described not so well. It's biased, and there can be a lack of information on it. We still have like space for improvements.
So basically, it was a very it is very contradictory topic still, and there are many different opinions, and some of documents are still kind of top secret. So probably in next decades we will get to know more about it.
You have to talk about this topic with the older family member of yours, like who really experienced the period of the USSR.
I can start if it's fine. Yeah, of course. I was born after the collapse of USSR. I was born 4 years after, so I can't say much about this period from my own opinion. But we talked about it with my mom, with my parents, and I can say that older generation think that it was good time. I can say that there were more advantages than disadvantages of this state. For example, there was equality actually. Of course, there were some people who was like richer than others, but there was equality because there was no unemployment during Soviet Union period. Everyone got jobs because there was manufacturing, and manufacturing was developed really cool. For example, during Soviet Union period, technology and education, it was developed really good. For example, which is why the Soviet Union sent the first man on the space, Gagarin, which is like Russian, which is our hero for our country. And also we can say about education.
Yes, that's true.
My parents say that education during the Soviet Union was better. Educational system was better than present system. Yeah, everyone had opportunity to get job, to get like apartments. You even could get free apartments. For example, if you have 1 children, you can get 1-room apartment. If you have 2 children, you can get 2-room apartment. You could get it for free. Just imagine. Now people have to take huge credits for like 30 years to allow to purchase like apartments. But during Soviet Union time, it was much easier for you to get your own corner, to live somewhere. And it was a good time in this case, of course. Everyone has opportunity.
Of course, yeah. If I can add, there were some advantages and disadvantages, but I still remember when I was like a really small kid, and as I told you before, I used to spend summer vacation with my grandparents in Ukraine, and I had a friend of mine who lived next door, and it was okay to leave doors wide open to different flats, to different apartments. Yeah. So when I was like 3 years old, I was like going from my apartment to the next building, so to his apartment, and I was like even not knocking on the door because doors were wide open. Yeah. I was like, hey, come along with me. And we were like small kids, we were like playing together. Can you imagine this happening right now? Of course not.
No way. Yeah,
and actually, the one important thing, it was not about like people were so poor, so there were nothing to take in their flats. No, it was about
trust.
Yes, it was all about trust, all about being friends with your neighbors. Maybe we don't have that anymore. And
maybe we have to learn this. Yeah, but if you talk about disadvantages, there were some of course, as everywhere. And for example, you could not easily travel around the world during the Soviet Union. Also, there was this like artificial deficit of goods. For example, people get used to stay in a huge quiz for like a whole day just to get a sausage from the shop or like a bread or something. It was really difficult sometimes to purchase goods.
But it was during late 80s, I think.
Yes.
Very close to the moment when Soviet Union demolished.
Yeah. Our parents used to talk about this because it was really hard to purchase something, sometimes
even
just
clothes.
Even clothes, yeah. So it was also like a disadvantage. But anyway, my parents say that advantages outcome disadvantages. So it was a good time. But we didn't live in this time, so yeah, it's just...
Yeah, it's hard to tell. And I'm pretty sure that not all of Russians will totally agree with you, especially about advantages and disadvantages.
From your perspective, that your generation, they're born after the collapse of the USSR, And we have talked about lots of like flaws or disadvantage of the union, like they're pretty not very good at governance. There's still like some shining points of it, like the trust, like people can just leave the door open. So, which period of time you prefer to live? Like it's an assumption. Like is it like today this Russia Federation or the time in the USSR?
So hard to tell if you didn't live in such during like Soviet Union. So
That's
hard
exactly
because we can make opinions only based on opinions of our parents. How did they describe this time? It's really hard. We can just tell that, for example, I think that during Soviet Union period, people were more united than now in my country. So I wish that there could be more unity this time in my country as well. I can't say that I want to go back to the Soviet Union because I didn't live there, as I told you before that. But I would like to take some advantages of this time to this time. It would be great.
Like what? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, as I told you, it's like unity. If we can bring to the future these advantages of science and technology of Soviet Union, because they stopped to develop after the collapse of the Soviet Union, because no one putting money in it anymore. It would be great if we can restart manufacturing, developing of cosmonautics, because we used to be the first on the space. Just think about it.
This is about like systematic approach to these particular issues, like science, technology. Actually, this is what is China doing right now. For example, if we'll take a look at Chinese science, it's kind of in a very good state right now, and Chinese government so supportive. And right now, yeah, I have a feeling like maybe we are losing it a little bit in Russia, but still people do understand that it's very important. And I think things are changing again. And as for me personally, I think that we live in a very good time. I don't want to get back. I still hope that, Russia will have a bright future, definitely.
We all hope.